So you, Netanyahu has already achieved his dream by to dragging America into such a war, but has this would lead to the change in the regime in Iran? This would rely on the American desire for a change in this point in light of no alternative. In case of a comprehensive war, it would be an option, but it isn't likely to happen but proposed, but in reality is still there because that extensive escalation cannot be judged and cannot say in a moment that will be halt this war at this time. Now let's start the peace process unless of the integrated or the related parties to intervene. We are before a strategic reality, not just on a very calculated blow or escalation, but this would be changed to a very comprehensive war. In this case, the Israeli nuclear facilities, such as the will be a target, which is alarming and great repercussions to the whole region. We are before in a very sophisticated state, and to deal this by rhetoric or propaganda aren't the idealistic response. It is required for a real diplomatic effort and a will for reaching an agreement. The U.S. believes that will force Iran to surrender unconditionally. But what the U.S. and Israel misses the point that the Iranians and none unlike the Japanese that has a very national pride that bolstered by the ideology of revenge and retaliation. If they are a part of the doctrine, but the valid of al-Faqih schooling of ideology throughout the history of 14th century, certainly would never forget its current doctrines currently, and along with the people used to the streets for a great demonstration against the Iranian regime, even if it is not in the line of the doctrines of the regime. Currently, it is very much complicated, and for all to sit back one step and to reassess the situation and to have a solution for the current crisis.
Okay, Mr. Meher, now, following the latest U.S. strikes, Trump warned that Iran, quote, must now make peace or face future attacks, and would be far greater and a lot easier to basically make peace. Do you think that Trump fully recognizes the possibilities of these consequences? And I mean, how can you create peace with force?
First of all, I don't think you create peace with force. And, there are certain, indication and factors that we have to consider. Number one, Iran had already rejected Europe's foreign minister's call for coming back to a negotiation session. And as I said, the parliament made a decision. And at the same time, also in the U.S., there are huge movements in the streets and in the Congress that U.S. they have to de-escalate the situation because the American debt in excess of $35 trillion, and the inflation rate is high, and the interest rate will go spike high, and if the oil goes up, the American people they will be impacted and they will not be too happy about it. I do believe that the United States of America should de-escalate these things and make offers instead of threats. Right now, the U.S. and President, Foreign Minister, Secretary of State, and Secretary of Defense, the three of them, in addition to the Vice President, are making threatening remarks. Unless you come, unless you do this, we will make things, heavy, and we will hit again. And you don't know the effect and the impact of the U.S. power. We all know that the United States is very powerful, and this conflict between Israel and Iran and Iran and the U.S. It's been for over 40 years. The United States had enforced a very severe embargo on Iran for the past 20-some years, and right now, they've been helping Israel to do whatever it is. And the credibility of the United States president it is at stake. When he says right now that the planning for this attack has been in the in talks and meetings and things like for months.
Mm.
Meanwhile, just a few days ago, he gave Iran 2 weeks, and now he hits them in 2 days after the 2 weeks, and he
Mm.
calls for meeting for peace, and meanwhile he plans for this,
So the
and he
United
praises
States
Israel.
basically is not a partner to be trusted when it comes to negotiations or de-escalation.
I don't think Iran will trust them right now, and I think Iran has been humiliated so bad. Now they've been working on those plans, for the nuclear plans for over 40 years. Now you want them to nullify it? They will not do that. And they've been under siege for so many years, and their situation in the Middle East has been compromised. They lost a major ally in Syria. They lost, major ally almost in South Lebanon, Hezbollah, and they've been they've been hit very very hard. So this
Yes.
is the last resort. I don't think America wants to change the regime because they cannot change the regime. It's not like Syria. When they changed the regime, there was an alternative. There's no alternative in Iran. So I
Okay.
do believe that Iran will take a harsher stand against the United States in the coming days.
Okay, let's get Mr. Sultan's view here. Now, what does Israel's heightened alert suggest for the perceived threat of retaliation, given that, also the Iranians have said that they're preparing for some sort of, quote, surprise attack on the Israelis?
In fact, the Iranians never used its maximum capabilities and power up till this moment. The very scattered launches of the ballistic and supersonic missiles are in a very calculated operations in the purpose of the some sort of attrition to the Israeli capabilities. And we should not forget that the internal front is fully supported to the military operation against Iran. But the Iranians, they have more options and more capable to endure and a long-standing attrition war. And ultimately, the continuation such operations will pressure the internal front, will generate and prompt